We've all been sold a lie. For more than a decade, we've been told that social media is all about connection. But what if that's not true? What if the very platforms designed to bring us closer are actually engineered to make us feel more isolated than ever before? So we all ask ourselves this question, right? Is there a right way to do this? Because the advice we get is pretty simple, and I guarantee you've heard it 1,000 times. The story goes like this. Stop being a passive lurker. Don't just scroll through everyone else's highlight reels. They say that's what makes you feel envious and depressed. The solution? Be an active user. Post, comment, engage. That's the secret to connection and well-being. But what if that advice isn't just wrong? What if it's actually dangerous? What if this whole active versus passive debate is a complete lie? A story designed to distract us from the fact that these platforms aren't built for our well-being at all. Let's pull back the curtain on the social media lie. See, the problem isn't you. It's not how you're using it. It's the architecture of the platform itself. Arguing about active versus passive use is a total distraction. They're both just two different doors into the exact same trap, a loneliness loop designed to keep you scrolling. Let that sink in. These aren't just neutral tools like a hammer or a telephone. They are systems intentionally designed to change how we behave. And the damage is absolutely staggering. In a few minutes, I'm going to show you some data that connects the dots between this and a massive public health crisis among teenage girls. But first, to really understand this, we have to look at the invisible architecture that's running our digital lives. These aren't bugs, they are very intentional features. Let's start with the infinite scroll. Think about it, there's no end. You never reach the bottom of the page. This is a deliberate choice to remove what psychologists call stopping cues. It exploits a bug in our brain that makes us crave completion. With no end in sight, you're basically stuck in a state of unresolved tension, and the only relief is to just keep scrolling. And the engine that powers that scroll? It's called a variable reward schedule. You never know if the next post will be boring or if it will be the most amazing thing you've seen all day. It's that unpredictability that gets you hooked. Your brain gets a dopamine hit not just from the reward, but from the anticipation of it. It is the exact, and I mean the exact, same psychological mechanism that makes a slot machine so addictive. Okay, so if the system is designed to be a slot machine for your attention, what happens when we do what we're told? What happens when we actively engage? Well, the answer is not what you think, and it brings us to something called the active use paradox. To figure this out, Baylor University launched a huge study. They followed thousands of adults for 9 years, tracking their social media habits and their levels of loneliness. And what they found completely demolished the idea that active use is good. The results were just wow. Okay, so no surprise, the passive users, the scrollers, got lonelier over time. But here's the shocker. So did the active users. The people posting, commenting, engaging. It made no difference. Over 9 years, both groups ended up more isolated. And this is the paradox. All that effort you put into crafting the perfect post, into liking and commenting, it just doesn't deliver the deep, real connection our brains are wired for. Researchers call these interactions low social nutritional value. It's like social junk food. You're consuming something, but you're not getting any real nourishment, leaving you in an even deeper social deficit than when you started. And this isn't just a theory. The human cost is real, and we can actually measure the damage. It's showing up in our most vulnerable populations and in our most intimate relationships. Take a look at this timeline. Psychologists Jonathan Haidt and Jean Twenge noticed something terrifying. Right around 2012, just as smartphones became a fixture in every pocket and visual platforms like Instagram blew up, the mental health of adolescents, especially girls, just fell off a cliff. Now, at first, a lot of people were skeptical. A well-known study from 2019 even claimed the link was tiny, comparing the negative effect of social media to, well, to the effect of eating potatoes on well-being. But here's the thing. That analysis was flawed. It lumped all screen time together. When you get specific, when you isolate social media use in adolescent girls, the effect isn't like eating potatoes. The statistical link becomes as strong as the one between asbestos and cancer. That is not an exaggeration. This is a public health crisis that demands an urgent response. The damage also creeps into our romantic lives. Ever heard of phubbing? It's phone snubbing. And it's way more than just being rude. When your partner ignores you for their phone, your brain's pain matrix lights up in a similar way to a physical injury. This creates a really vicious cycle where the person who was snubbed feels lonely and then turns to their phone for comfort, driving both people further apart. And the very design of these platformers encourages low empathy behavior, like ghosting. It makes connections feel disposable. Ghosting creates something psychologists call an ambiguous loss. The person who was ghosted is left in this cognitive limbo. They can't process it, they can't grieve, and it almost always leads to this prolonged cycle of self-blame. Okay, so this is all pretty bleak, but how do we fight back against this architecture of compulsion? Well, if the system is the problem, the solution has to be a conscious, deliberate choice to step outside of it. And that fight begins with a psychological shift. It's about flipping the script from FOMO, the fear of missing out, to JOMO, the joy of missing out. It's a choice to find contentment in your own life, right here, right now, instead of constantly comparing it to a curated feed of somebody else's. This mindset leads directly to practical strategies, like digital minimalism. This isn't about becoming a Luddite. It's about being intentional. So first, audit your apps. Ask yourself, does this thing actually support something I deeply value? Second, create friction. Get the social media apps off your phone. That one change breaks the cycle of mindless checking. And finally, schedule your usage. Set specific times to check in. By doing that, you are reintroducing the stopping cues that these platforms worked so hard to take away. You're taking back control. Because ultimately, the goal isn't to just throw away all technology. The real path forward is to shift from being a passive consumer in the attention economy to becoming an active, intentional curator of your own digital world. And that leaves us with one final, kind of unsettling question. Social media has completely re-engineered our social lives. What other parts of our day-to-day have been subtly redesigned right under our noses without us ever noticing? Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching.